Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Jennifer Johnson, and I'm the lead volunteer for the Saucon Creek YMCA branch. That is the name of the new YMCA that is proposed to come to our area. And I'm going to first give you a brief introduction on how this all started. Where and when did this all get started? We go back about 8 years now. My husband and I were having a discussion about the lack of facilities in this area. We didn't have an indoor swimming pool for our boys who liked swimming as a competitive sport. We had been traveling to different areas with our boys for basketball games, and we saw a beautiful community center in Lower Macungie. Why didn't we have something like that, right? And so we got to talking, and we were talking to some of our neighbors and friends, and there was some talk of maybe Upper Saucon Township putting in a community center at some point, but that fell flat. And I contacted the township, and they said right now we're not in a position to start a community center. So again, talking to some friends, I thought, what are our options? And traveling with our boys, we have 3 boys. We had seen so many beautiful YMCAs in other areas. Why couldn't we have one here? So I picked up the phone and called the Greater Valley YMCA and said, I'd like to talk to someone about opening a new branch in the Center Valley, Coopersburg area. Can we have a discussion? And they said, sure. So my husband and I, we met with the then CEO of the Greater Valley Y at the Copperhead. It was a very informal meeting. We sat down and I said, I think we need a Y here. We need something. We have no community center. We have nowhere to go. No facilities for everyone, for our whole community to use and to come together. And the CEO at the time said, okay, I can try to help you with that. I've never done this before, he said. I'm going to be honest, but I'll help you. Why don't we get together a committee? And so I started recruiting some of my friends and neighbors again to form a committee. We have a couple of those people here tonight. Samantha Falcone, where is she? She's in the back there. Rich Wisnowski is here. Is that it from my committee tonight? I think that's it for my volunteers. And we started having meetings. And we started collaborating. What does this area really need? You know, what are we looking for? It's not just about the kids. Because the kids, yeah, they needed a swimming pool, but adults would maybe like that indoor pool too. And the kids don't just need a basketball court, but adults maybe need pickleball courts or workout rooms, meeting space, just a place to gather. And when Rich joined the board, or joined the committee, it's not a board, excuse me. Rich is a representative from one of the 55 and over communities in our area. And Rich said the people in our community really want this Y too. So it developed into this bigger project from our initial vision, and it became something that was really important for the whole community, from babies all the way up to senior citizens. A real need in our community for something like a YMCA. So long story short, the former CEO of the Y retired before, after we had discussed with him for about 2 years. We didn't make a ton of progress because he didn't really have any experience building a new Y. So luckily for us, David Fagerstrom was hired. And when I heard about Dave, I was thrilled because he had already built 2 brand new Ys in Western PA. So he has the experience. I was so excited. However, he had to first take care of the rest of the Ys in the Lehigh Valley. They needed attention. So our project had to go on the back burner for a while, which was frustrating, but I'm trying to explain why it has taken so long. So we're on the back burner for a couple years. Dave says, we're ready to go. So we started looking for land. Where is this Y going to be located? How much land do we need? And can we get the land donated? Because for anybody that's sitting here, a YMCA is not funded through tax dollars. It is funded by donations, grants, and corporate sponsorships and partnerships. So the ideal thing would be to get the land donated. Well, that's tricky around here, really tricky. And we were looking for 8 to 10 acres. So that took us on a 2-year, what do you want to call it, quest, to try to find the right piece of land. So finally, we get the land, and what hits? COVID. So COVID put us back a couple of years as well. But the good news is that we were able, believe it or not, during COVID, we were able to lock down the land. The Upper Saucon Township came to us and said, we're ready to help you guys. We want to be a partner in this YMCA. So the Upper Saucon Township donated a piece of land for us that's adjacent to the Southern Lehigh Public Library. So that's the location of this Y. It's real. And our next phase, so, and then we went through COVID and we couldn't really get this off the ground. We are in really good shape now because we have, believe it or not, raised half the money for this project already with a major grant and 2 collaborative partners. So we are in really good shape to move this project forward. And our goal tonight is just to give you more information about the project. What is this YMCA going to look like? What is the Saucon Creek YMCA going to be about? How is it going to serve our community? Because every community is unique. We're not Bethlehem, we're not Allentown. So how's the Saucon Creek YMCA? What's it going to be like? So thank you all for coming out tonight. I really appreciate your support. Please tell all your friends and neighbors about this project, because the more we get the word out, the better. That's what we're trying to do, educate our friends and neighbors all about the project, get everybody excited and on board for it, support it, and realize what a huge benefit it's going to be for our community. Okay, so at this point I'm going to turn the mic over to David Fagerstrom. Like I said, he is the CEO of the Greater Valley YMCA, and he has been monumental in helping us with this project.
Thanks. Yeah, very mental. That's exactly right. Welcome everybody tonight. My name is Dave Fagerstrom, President and CEO of the Greater Valley YMCA, and I will run through this slide presentation for you all, and at the end we'll open up for a Q&A. If it's something I can't answer, then Jen and Sam will help me answer those questions. So now I'm putting Sam on the spot and Jen on the spot. Welcome. Anytime I talk to a group, I very quickly kind of run through what the YMCA is and what we are not. The YMCA in general, for any of you that have never been a part of the Y or a member or use of Y, we're a national nonprofit 501c3 organization. We focus everything we do on really 3 areas: healthy living, youth development, and social responsibility. Social responsibility defined as helping those people less fortunate than ourselves. That's it. And we have branches all over the United States. And what's interesting about the YMCA as an organization is there's an old saying at the Y that if you've seen one Y, you've seen one Y. So the YMCA in Allentown is different than the YMCA in Bethlehem, which is different than the YMCA in Easton, which is different than the YMCA in Darien, Connecticut, which will be different than the YMCA in Saucon. So every Y serves the community in a different way. I mean, there's some things at YMCA's that are pretty standard, but they're all definitely different. So the Greater Valley YMCA, we have 7 branches all across the valley. There's a map here in a minute. We have about 500 employees. We have about a $12 million operating budget. We have 10,000 members, and we impact over 100,000 people annually just right here in the valley. We have a strategic plan that calls for expansion into what the YMCA defines as service deserts for the YMCA. So if there are areas in Lehigh Valley that don't have a particular need being met, for example here, if there's a Southern Lehigh that doesn't have a community center in one of the areas, then that's something that the board has said that they want the Y to look at. And specifically our strategic plan, the last rounds has said that we definitely want to accomplish a Y down here. So again, our locations, we got Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, and we got Caddy, Nazareth, and Penargil, and you can see the red one there would be where this Y would be, the Saucon Creek YMCA. And I won't go into this too much more than what Jen said, but we had 18 different locations we looked at. It took us 2 years, and we think it's a great location. I'll show it to you on the map in a second, but it's within a bunch of recreational land already used. So I worked at a Y in Florida that had 30 acres of land. We had the 4 baseball fields and 2 soccer fields. We even had a boat yard, because down in Florida, people donate boats to the Y, believe it or not. I had plenty of property on 30 acres. 30 acres here in this part of the valley would be extremely hard to find. So a lot of reasons this location works well, but certainly it's because it's within a lot of already recreation area, right? So Upper Saucon Township, when they showed us this spot, we were like, oh, that'd be great, because then we only really need 10 acres to put the actual Y building and parking, and we could utilize the land around it. Of course, partnering with Upper Saucon Township. Part of the deal, certainly, and this is no secret, is the YMCA wants to be a good neighbor. And so if we start a summer day camp program, if there's a need for the parents to want that, and if we are allowed to use the property that's in the parks, we would pay Upper Saucon Township something to use those fields. So it could work for them, and it could work for us. It's kind of neat. But where it's going to go, this is Preston Road. The top of the map kind of dead ends there into DeSales. Can't see it. But if you're going up Preston on the right-hand side, you pass the library. Everybody know we know where the library is? Okay, it's right before that is the bus depot piece, and that's where the Y would go right where that. So we're not displacing any fields. That was a big concern. Like we really didn't feel comfortable going in and taking a lacrosse field out, because there's not enough fields now. So we thought that was a pretty good solution for a spot. This will change, but you kind of, how it would all fit on, we'll have our parking, we'll have the building, and it'll face Preston Road. Okay, let's get into the meat of this. What would the Y offer the community? We would offer opportunities for the YMCA for residents to get and stay healthy. We would have part-time and full-time child care programs. It's a big need in the community, and part of those might even be, from what we've been told at these forums, programs for kids in kindergarten, right? For the half-day programs, which seem to be needed. Senior programs, both exercise and social, to help keep seniors independent. Youth and teen programs so kids can grow up confident, prepared for challenges. Swim lessons, aquatics, fitness, competitive swimming, lap swimming, recreational swim, and programs based on the needs of local residents. So certainly we'll talk about partnerships in a minute, but certainly there's been a lot of talk about the local school district that's so graciously allowed us to use this room today, and is there a need for a pool for the kids, for the swim team at school, and that's certainly a possibility. So what does that look like as far as amenities go? Well, you're looking at a high school regulation gymnasium, probably a collegiate gymnasium at this point. Indoor swimming pool, preschool, child care, outdoor playground, school-age kids program areas, fitness and wellness areas, indoor track, group exercise classes, front desk lobby area, teen center meeting spaces, changing locker rooms, a child watch, which for the uninitiated, a child watch is a room that's got fun stuff for really small kids. Usually they're under 6. And when a mom or parents want to come in and work out, it's a free service the Y offers as part of membership that will watch and play with your kids for up to like an hour and a half, right? And then we have partner spaces going in for healthcare, collaborative partner, and also Betty Lou's Pantry will be moving into the YMCA. So I don't know how many of you know there's a food bank here in town, and they're in a church, and they've been looking for a new home. So we thought it was a really neat opportunity to bring the food bank into the Y and give them their own exterior door and partner with them. Partnerships, right? So like I said, we have the food bank partnership. Upper Saucon Township would like to utilize the YMCA for a couple of different things and partner with us. One of those things is for an emergency shelter in case there's ever flooding. And we saw that up at a Y that I had previously built in my last CEO position. And there was a big flood in town, a 1-in-100-year kind of thing. And everybody came into the YMCA and plugged in their phones and used the locker room for showers. And it was, it was great. And we did that in collaboration with the township. We have a major university partnership that would like to use the gymnasium for their home gym. And we have a major healthcare system, one of the 2 biggies, that would like lease space within the YMCA and some pad in the parking lot to do their mobile services there. So pretty exciting. And of course, what's not on there yet is a formal partnership between the Y and the school district here to do something for the kids with the swimming. So we are exploring those opportunities with the school district, and I'm sure it'll come to fruition. We just started talking like 2 months ago. So just some eye candy. There's this playground and community space, a kids zone, wellness areas, a track, Group X, functional training, that's the rage, and of course a gymnasium, the pool, locker rooms, and again, connective spaces are real big in YMCA's now, places that really aren't programmed just to help people come together. An outdoor patio sure would be nice on the second floor, for when it's nice and warm out there. Here's what we're doing. We had a feasibility study that ended a couple months ago, and basically we took. Our consultant will tell you it was the longest feasibility study ever conducted, because we literally started calling people for this feasibility study March 2020, which is when COVID hit. So everything just ground to a halt, and then we tried it again, and then COVID kind of second wave came through and it ground to a halt again. So we are just now getting that done after starting in 2020 as of maybe 4 or 5 months ago. But the key findings are 73% of the people we talked to said the image of the Y is good or very good. 91% said the Y is on track with this proposal. 50% felt it was an appropriate time to start the campaign. The remaining 50% said maybe. 86% believe that a $23 million goal for the project may be possible. So the number you'll see in the newspaper and different things we put out, it shifts around. I was explaining earlier to somebody that we originally thought it might be $15, $16 million, and then we started getting federal, and we think we're going to get state grants, and all of a sudden you get prevailing wage, and you can add about 20% onto a project other than that. And it is what it is, but that's why the numbers goes up and down. And 71% said yes or maybe to the involvement in the campaign. So over 60% for people we talked to say, yeah, well, I'll be involved somehow to help bring this in the community was great. Right now, where are we in this process? So I showed you a timeline in a minute. But our first thing was to get a group down here, which was done by Jen and the volunteers, and then it took us 2 years to find property, and then it took us basically another 2 years to get the feasibility study done. And now we're in a 6-month process to recruit leadership for the campaign, and also do a lot of these kind of talks to the community to share what we're doing, to make sure everybody understands what we're doing, and to see if anybody else wants to be involved in whatever way they can be involved. And we're also shoring up our partnerships, right? So we have these major partnerships with a healthcare system and with the university. And if you've ever tried to do one of those partnerships before, it's like this thick, and it's all these attorneys, and it just takes forever. So we're hoping to wrap that up, honestly, in the next 3 to 6 months. We've been working on those for about a year now. So when might this thing be open? That's what everybody's here to. When is it going to open? We've got to finish this 6-month community engagement that ends in March. And then we have the leadership group that we're working on apart from this. We hope that they will have a 9-month quiet campaign to raise between $5 and $6 million from the community, from business entities, from foundations, from the community. We'll then go into a 4-month community campaign where all the families or individuals or anybody else in the community, if they want to make a donation to this, they can. And of course, everybody will be recognized at the YMCA in some way for helping have it done. Once that happens, we have a 14-month construction period from the day we break ground to when it's open. Generally speaking, is about 14 months to build the YMCA. It's a 60,000 square foot Y, so it takes some time. And then the YMCA would open. So we're looking at targeting sometime late 2025. If the fundraising takes a little bit longer, then it might be halfway into 2026. We don't know, which sounds like a long way away, but it's not. We're in 2023, so we're getting closer. So here's where we need your help, and then I'll open it up for questions. We would ask everybody in the community just to be an advocate for the project if you believe in it, and tell others about it. We'll probably have one more of these coming up in another month or so, and we'll get that out through the Saucon Creek YMCA Facebook page, and hopefully through the school district. and I didn't update this, sorry, it says January 11th, so I don't know the next date yet. But join the Saucon Creek YMCA Facebook page, you can get updates on it. Let us know how we might get the word out. So we open up for Q&As. If you have suggestions, we're here to listen to what you have to say. Connect us to other community and business leaders whom you might feel might help us advance this project. Consider if your family might make a donation sometime, in the future, not now. We're not asking for solicitation, but this is certainly to help educate people that will need everybody's help. And consider joining the local volunteer group to help pull the wine in the community. So we have a national consultant that's very well known in YMCA circles. John's been working at now his company. He's vice president of this company, and they've been doing this for over 20 years at YMCA's and JCC's and Boys and Girls Clubs all over the United States. And I will share with you what he said to the volunteers and what he said since we've engaged him. What he said is, we've seen through all these different projects that a nonprofit cannot just look at a community and say, well, that's where we're going to put the next YMCA. He goes, it never works. You can't push a Y into a community. It has to be pulled. It has to be pulled by the community. You have to have help bringing it in, or you're not going to be successful. So you have to have an army of people to help you do this. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to get the right people to help pull us into the community, and this is part of that, is just sharing the story with all of you. So, I ran through that really quick, but that's a lot of information. There's no test. But any questions? I always get a question about pickleball. Yes, we're going to have pickleball in the Y. I'll throw that one out. Yes, sir.
You put the word in community quite a bit. Who's this Y going to be open to?
It's open to everybody in the community. I appreciate that question. Yes, it's not, the Y is a membership organization, but you don't have to be a member to bring your kids in for swim lessons or summer day camp or anything like that. And I will say this, the YMCA, how do I say this? Before COVID hit, the Ys in the Valley collectively are all one Y now, right? So the Y is a nonprofit. Part of what we do is anybody that comes into the YMCA that can't afford a membership, or can't afford swim lessons, or can't afford youth soccer or anything, pick something. If somebody can't afford it, they come in, it's a one-page document, all right? They show us their taxes or disability or whatever with it. We take the person to a side room, very private. We have a discussion, like what can they afford? And what they can afford is what they pay. So one of the beautiful things about the YMCA, in my opinion, I've worked in Y 35 years, so I'm bent towards the Y, is when you're running on a treadmill or you're in those classes with somebody else, you look around, you never really know who's getting financial help from the YMCA. And that's the way it should. No one's wearing a scarlet letter, no one knows. The only one that knows is the membership director or maybe the program director that gave that person that scholarship. So in the YMCA here in the Valley, I mean, that amount of scholarship we gave in is normally about $1 million a year. So it's a significant number. So yeah, the Y is open to anybody. It's not limited to anything. Now, I will say that most people that use a local Y are within a 12-minute radius. That's 90% of your users, right? So we know having a Y in Nazareth and a Y in Penargil and a Y in Easton, relatively close. You'd think, well, how much do they really? Not that much. I mean, it's a little bit of that, especially when the pool closes in Nazareth. Well, people will go up to Penargil and use the pool if they're swimmers, so it's nice. But most people use the Y that's right in their community. I'm not terribly worried about people from Bethlehem going to Allentown, Bethlehem. I mean, it's a nice perk. I mean, if you're a member of a YMCA anywhere in the United States, you can use any other Y in the United States. But it generally doesn't happen that much.
I used to belong to the Y in Quakertown. It's a great Y. It's still there. It's been quite
Yeah.
a while.
That's a beautiful Y. Yeah.
Can I just add a little something? I think based on the location of this Y, we hope to serve Upper Saucon Township, Coopersburg, Lower Milford, Lower Saucon Township, because heading into Hellertown in that direction, maybe even some people from Salisbury Township. Okay, so when we sat down and looked at the map, those are the areas that we thought we could serve, and those are the areas that don't have community centers or facilities that we're talking about putting into this Y. Okay.
And could you say why we named it, why you guys named it?
Oh, the name, where did the name come from? So, a lot of people say to me, why aren't you calling this the Southern Lehigh Y? And the reason is because we do want people from outside of Southern Lehigh to be welcome there. Okay, we want people, maybe, you know, you just live right down the road, but your kids go to Saucon Valley School District. So we didn't want you to feel like, we didn't want that divide, that this is just for Southern Lehigh people, because it's not. So we tried to come up with something, in the Saucon Creek, you know, runs through that property, all back there by the Copperhead, and so it's the Saucon Creek Y. Dave likes to call it the Saucon Y a lot, and I always have to correct him. It's not Saucon, it's Saucon Creek. Just like we don't want to call it Southern Lehigh, so same idea.
Yes, I continue to stand corrected. Other questions? Yes, I'm sorry.
Would membership also be open to grandchildren, grandparents who live in the community, or children?
Yeah.
Okay, so they would be able to join that, the community rate?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Most kids in the YMCA are in programs, right? I mean, outside teens, which you might come in and use like the teen center or something like that, but kids are coming in for summer day camp or after school or preschool programs. And a family membership gets people a discount because they're paying a higher rate for a family, and they, you know, maybe have, if you have a nuclear family, it's saying there's a husband and wife, and they're both working out and doing things at the Y, then we get the family membership. It's cheaper than the regular membership, but if they've also got young kids, there's also a discount for the kids to do just about anything. So, yeah, we don't, not to get too political, but the Y, we don't define family, we just accept families, right? So, some people like that, some people don't like that, but if you're the Y, you really get stuck in a pickle with trying to define family, especially when that is changing over time and you got grandparents raising kids, right? So we don't define it, we just accept it. All right, you said you had more than one.
Yeah. Is it strictly donations, or also you plan on fundraising?
Oh, sure, yeah, I mean, let's take the other Ys in the valley. Some have golf tournaments. The Nazareth Y has a 5K. The valleys all together have an annual gala. So we just do one annual gala in November once a year, and last year raised $100,000 for the Ys for the scholarship program. So yeah, we do fundraisers.
I have a suggestion on how to get word out. Someone contact the churches and put it in their church bulletins.
Great idea. Yeah, we haven't done it yet, but we will. Yes, sir.
In the local area, the Upper Perk YMCA is probably the most recent YMCA in this local area. How would you compare what the vision for Saucon Valley YMCA versus the Upper Perk facility?
The Upper Perk is swanky. That's nice.
Was it
Real
that
nice.
when we
Yeah.
lived in Quakertown? That was the reason why I asked.
And before I answer that, let me just say, how does this work with the other Ys around, right? Is this going to be detrimental to the other Ys? When any new Y is built in the United States, the Y building that branch has to get permission from the other Ys to do so. So the response from Berks and Upper Perk and the other ones was, yeah, we know that's got to come eventually because that area is growing so quick. They really can't afford their own Y because you've got the demographics to afford it now that you didn't have probably 20 years ago. So they were fine. How will this compare to the Upper Bucks Y? That's your question. Will it be that swanky? Well, probably not. But it's not going to be Allentown or Bethlehem or, these Ys were built in the 60s. I love those Ys, they're our Ys, but no Y is built that way anymore. So it's going to be very nice, it's going to be very functional, it's still going to be a 60,000 square foot Y, but you could go to different Ys in the country, let's get past Upper Bucks for a second, that have literally 3 pools, right? They have a cold water pool for lap swimmers, they have a warm water pool for the exercisers, and they have another fun play pool for like kids that have all this, the squirting things. They have 20,000 membership units, right? So we're probably not going to have 20,000 units here for the Saucon Creek YMCA. So we have to be careful that whatever we build is sustainable. So we want to make it really nice, but it's not going to be huge, but it will be expandable if we happen to have that, problem of too many members to fit inside the box. But we definitely want it, I think I can safely say that we understand that this community is gonna have certain expectations for how nice this Y needs to be, and we are gonna do everything we can to meet or exceed those expectations. Yes, sir?
Is there like an endowment to help keep up with that?
There could be an endowment for this. I mean, a lot of times when YMCA's do these capital campaigns, they're also doing an endowment. And I've personally seen this and done this. If we wind up with some larger donors that maybe give 250 or 500,000 or naming opportunities even for the Y, you keep them engaged and involved. And a logical thing is after they get done with their 3 or 5 year pledge, you bring it back in and you saw how much the Y has impacted the community and how well this is done. And that leads into an eventual conversation about would you be one of the people that would like to establish an endowment. But as far as like what, I think your question is, well, how do we make sure the Y is sustainable? If we build this YMCA the right size, and if we raise the money we need to build it, and there's no or little debt, it'll be sustainable with the membership and with the child care and with the leases that we'll have in the Y. That won't be a challenge for this Y. The endowment would just be icing on the cake. And that brings up another thing, what happens if at the end of the day, this beautiful Y we're gonna build is $20 million and we've only raised $18 million? The answer to that is we will not go into debt for $2 million, right? Because that automatically sets the Y in this community as a unsustainable, perhaps, situation. So what we've always been told, the people that have come through the Y system, and I started as a camp counselor and 35 years, my third CEO job, but all the training we get from the YMCA USA and Board Source and other nonprofit best practices says, do not build a YMCA building more than the community will support. So if we raise $15 million, we're gonna have a nice Y, but it's gonna be a smaller YMCA. And if we somehow raise $22 million for a $20 million project, then we're gonna have a $2 million endowment. But we won't build more than we can afford. We can't, because then you do get into problems with sustainability. So we wanna set this up right from the beginning. There are Ys in the 80s and 90s when money was cheap, and I won't name who they are, but there were CEOs out there and they would be in a big market, let's just say Atlanta, but it wasn't Atlanta. And they would borrow money. And they took this approach where they would borrow money from the bank, and they borrowed, at the time, $12 million, and they'd build a Y. And that started cash flowing, and then they'd be paying off, and then they did another, and then they did another. And when something rocks that system, like 2008, when we had that situation, all of a sudden, all the people went out of the YMCA's, and they weren't cash flowing anymore, and these Ys went out of business. And we just hit COVID. Those Ys that pulled that stunt, there's a whole bunch of them out of business in the United States. I used to work in Florida, and down the Gulf Coast of Florida, all those Ys are gone. The Y I used to work at, which is in Venice, Florida, actually was approached by banks all the way down the coast, and they bought those assets for pennies on the dollars, which isn't fair to the banks. But the fact is that those Ys couldn't service their debt load, and they all went out of business. So we are not doing that here. If we set up a Y, it's gonna be set right. We're gonna make sure that thing's sustainable for the next 100 years. Yes, sir.
This year, there's a lot of talk about recession and maybe an economic slowdown.
Yeah.
So if you don't meet your fundraising goals, will you consider maybe just extending your schedule?
Yeah, if we don't raise it, let's say the market crashed 6 or 8 months after we start this, it's a terrible time to ask. So what I've gotten the last 2 Ys I built is not a no, but it's like, man, we just can't do it now. Or if we do it now, it's gonna be less than we would do it if you just let the market recover. If that happens, we have to go slower. It's either, and then there's a choice for the Y, right? Like I explained, we can build it smaller, or you can wait 2 years and build it bigger like you should, or 3 years. We'll have to play it to see where it goes. You're absolutely right. Let me get her first, sorry. She was right behind you, sorry.
Is the plan to build the building sustainable from the start, like using solar and other sustainable building materials?
Good question. Will it be a LEED building? I don't know yet. Will it have solar? Will it have geothermal heating? Maybe. You know, we haven't got to the architectural plans yet. I can tell you honestly, the other Ys they built were not, but it was only lack of funding that prevented us from doing that, because there's a price tag, there's a payoff, but the initial price is higher. You have to get the money to do it first. So we'll see how fundraising goes. The better the fundraising goes, the more likely the Y is to do that. But what we probably won't do is, you know, cut off half the gym so we can make sure it's geothermal or solar, right? I mean, it just makes sense.
But you could find partners in the solar and geothermal communities.
We could, yes. Our hope is to make it as environmentally friendly as possible. But we don't even have an architect or record yet, so it's hard to, you know.
Speaking more in terms of utility savings.
Yeah, too. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Talk more about the university involvement partnership.
Yeah, sure. So the university who shall be unnamed, just like the hospital who shall be unnamed. And the reason is because we have a confidentiality clause while we're making this negotiation, right? But the university is very interested in the basketball gymnasium, to have a home gymnasium for their team. So we envision a collegiate gymnasium with stands, and to use that, or allow them to use that for their practices and for their games during season. And it's the same thing with, So the challenge with that is, when you're building a community center, and you know already there's a lack of gymnasiums in the community, you have to be careful not to give away the whole ship to whoever the collaborative partner is, right? Because now let's say the university uses 90% of the time gymnasium, and the community gives you money to help build a gymnasium. Now everybody's mad that there's no time in the gymnasium. So we've had that very frank conversation with them from the beginning, to say there has to be a very good balance with what time you have in there and what we have for the rest of the programs. I mean, it could be lacrosse kids in there during the winter when, you know, it's colder, and a million other things. So we envision those games, but the brand of the university is pretty strong, and we envision the community kind of liking coming to those games, you know.
There could potential funding source.
Yes, the university, the hospital, and the $3 million we just got from the feds, Susan Wild, regardless of your political affiliation, I say, yeah, or mine, I say God bless her, because she helped get money. Thank you. That together is a $10 million shot, and that's where that $10 million is coming from these partners. Now, and the partners, just so they know, they don't get the use for free. They're doing the capital investment, and they're paying us some money for the time they use those facilities for lights and upkeep and everything else. So it does really help the sustainability of the Y to have those partnerships, and it's great. You know, you get these different partners, and the different people are coming into the YMCA, and it's really a community center more than it's just a Y. I mean, 20 years ago, you go back all over the country and you see these Ys, they were built as Ys. Now you go forward to like the last decade, these YMCAs aren't Ys, they're YMCA community centers. You have the health department in there sometimes, you have school districts in there, you have universities, I mean, you name it. You know, again, you've seen one Y, you've seen one Y, and it's a great thing for the community because it's all right there kind of in one spot. Yep. Other questions? If anybody would like a copy of this, just email me. And I've got my business cards up here if anybody wants one. Oh, there was a question, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Based on the size of the Y, what do you expect employment to be?
Oh, great question. How many employees will the Y have? I would assume somewhere between 75 and 100 people. And that doesn't count seasonal. So like, normal summer day camp program might be 100, 150 kids. And right there, you're probably talking good 40, college kids home in the summer. So yeah, it's not a giant amount, but it's a nice boost to the local opportunities. And a lot of those are full-time with benefits too. Probably a third of those. And a lot of those are full-time preschool teachers. Right? So we have the staff there, the salary, the sports director person, and the wellness person, but there's a lot of other jobs there too. And again, I started as part-time camp counselor in the summer and work my way through. So the Y is a great career opportunity. Shameless plug for anybody looking for a job. Yes.
At what age do you hire, and do you see opportunity for like the young teens in the area to have their first job?
Yeah, the Y is very mad that McDonald's stole our where people get their first job. We have a ton of kids, believe it or not, lifeguards. My daughter, who's now works for St. Luke's as a nurse in the ICU, her first job was at the YMCA as a lifeguard. Believe it or not, at 16, which it depends on the kid, right? Some kids you would never want to be a lifeguard at 16, but my daughter's a super type A, and she was great at it. We have licensing doesn't allow us to hire really young or mid-teens for childcare, but when they're in college, certainly they can get in there as the and then front desk and cleaning the Y and all the other glamorous jobs at the Y. There's a lot of opportunities at the YMCA for those younger kids. And we lose a lot of them. They'll do it during the college age, and then they graduate and they're going on to their real job. But we're thrilled that we can offer a lot of kids summer employment and then after school employment too. Again, like an after school program runs 4 hours in the afternoon, and when school's out, and for a lot of college age kids, it's a great gig. It's 4 hours a day, and they can still get all their study in and make their grades. Question?
Just to follow up on her point, would you say that 16 years old is maybe the youngest age that y'all would hire across all these potential positions for this new YMCA?
I'm going to ask my HR person to sit right there. It's 16 to 18. I think the range is probably correct.
Okay.
I don't want to get myself in trouble. You think the CEO would know that, but yeah, no, not so much. All right. Do you have any questions? Oh, right here. Yes, sir.
Two quick questions. So, given the size of the Y that you're looking at, what would be generally the membership to sustain that?
Yeah.
And the second question is about corporate partnerships. You
Yeah.
talked about university and health system. Has anybody talked to any of the local corporations in the area?
Not yet. I was talking to one of the volunteers before the meeting, and the YMCA has a very strong track record of fundraising for these things, and there's definitely a method to the madness. So again, we're trying to put together the leadership cabinet, which is people that have influence and access to influence and access to wealth. And if you can do the silent campaign, and I'm a regular guy. Like a big gift for me would be like $25,000 over 5 years. Like that's a significant gift to my family. But the gifts that really make this happen are over $100,000, right? So those gifts could be over 5 years. And to some people, that's like, oh yeah, we could do that, And some people think of that in like $500,000 and $1 million, right? So I don't understand those people. They're totally out of my league. But you try to get this group that knows and rubs elbows with those people and those companies, and then they do that. Now, so where am I going with the question? Have we approached anybody? No, not really, and I'll tell you why. Because once you get this group together, a lot of times it's like, oh, I know that guy. I know that president of that company. I golf with that guy. I fish with that. Oh, he has a, his plane's in the thing next to mine at the, okay. And it's much better for those people to approach than for Dave to approach, right? They automatically start way ahead of the thing. And there's a lot of times in those circles, there's this reciprocal thing, like, I gotta talk to Joe about the Y thing because I hit him up 2 years ago for, Da Vinci thing, so I gotta do something. It's the way it goes. So no, we haven't really approached too many yet. We've done some light approaching, just, hey, it's on the way, it's coming in. But we would definitely wait. One of my favorite sayings is Abraham Lincoln said, if I had to cut down a forest, I had 10 hours to do it, I'm paraphrasing. I spend the first 8 hours sharpening the axe, right? So this process we're in right now to find the right people is sharpening the axe. And you had another question?
About for the size that you're planning for the YMCA, what would be the number of members to
Oh, yeah, right.
sustainable?
Sorry. I would say somewhere above 1,000 membership units, right? So what's a membership unit? A unit is a paying adult or a paying family. There might be 5 people in the family, but that's a paying 1 unit. So probably 1,000. YMCA's, again, going back to the 80s and even 70s and 60s, 80% of their budget was probably membership, right? And so to do something like this, you'd say, back then, you'd say, oh, it's probably 3,000 units. The YMCA today does more childcare than we do membership. We're the largest provider of childcare in the country, right? So the preschool and the school age, after school, before school, and summer day camp, that's, I mean, not that membership's not important to why, but we've got a very diverse revenue stream. We've got membership, we've got childcare, and we've got fundraising, which are the 3 kind of legs we stand on. So it's not like it was back in the 80s where that membership was like 80% of the revenue stream, and if all of a sudden something happened, you're in big trouble if the members all of a sudden aren't coming in. So it's a long-winded. All my answers are long-winded. All right. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of partnership opportunities do you see with working with the Southern Lehigh libraries?
Oh, yeah. We've already had a couple conversations with the library. Matter of fact, I just called somebody on their board. Yeah, right. Well, I didn't know what I was going to say, but I talked to somebody just the other day from the library, and one of their concerns was the meeting room of the Y. A lot of Ys have meeting rooms, and we just open those up for people to come in because we want people in there. But the library has a meeting room, and that's a source of revenue for the library. So we said, okay, what we'll do is we'll let people use the meeting room only if you guys are booked. So we don't want to pull the carpet out from under the library. The other thing that came up the other day, which I think is a kind of a cool opportunity, and who knows what will happen. But some of us were talking like, how can we support the library right next to us? Now, regardless of the fact that I'm sure we'll take the preschool kids over, right, and the school age kids over, and we'll have some different collaborative programming opportunities if they want it, which I'm sure they will. We thought, well, I wonder if they have any parking spots they're not using. And even though the Y will have plenty of parking, I wonder if we could throw them a little cash to say, okay, maybe these 10 or 20 spots could be for preschool teachers or something like that, and they can just walk across to the Y. So we're still coming up with ways, and that was just a thought the other day. So I called and said, well, we'll maybe consider that and see if maybe that'll work. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of ways that Y could help the library, notwithstanding the fact that we'll have a ton of people coming into the library. And there'll be a little bit more exposure probably there on Preston Road.
There's a huge parking lot right across the street.
Yeah, well, thank you. Another thing came up, different meeting the other day was, could we get a walk, one of those, striped walks across there? Yeah, and there's the tunnel under anyway, but it's PennDOT road, so I was like, oh, I can just see the headaches trying to get that striped across there. Yes.
Is the Y going to get signage on 378, and if so, can the library be added off to that signage?
I don't know if we will have signage. That hasn't even come up yet. Well, I can tell you this. If the Y has big signage somewhere, what will happen is the hospital and the university will want to be right there with us. And then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. So, just like on the building, everybody will want their logo on the building, I'm sure. Yeah. I haven't even thought about the signage on the highway yet, but that's great. That's a good thing for us to start working on. It's going to take that long. If we do, I will try to get signage for the library on there too. Maybe we can both approach whomever to get that done. Yes?
Have you discussed what you think the membership cost is going to be at this point?
The membership cost will be the same cost as all the Ys in the valley. If you go on our website, you'll see the cost right there. You think I know what I don't.
So it's not based on
No.
areas?
No, I don't like that one bit. I do not like that one bit. I think if you happen to live in this area, which is a higher demographic, financially, which, not everybody is that way anyway, but why would you charge more because you can charge more? So I'll say for the record that after being down here for however many years, and our child care will be the same price as the child care in all the rest of the valley. And our membership will be the same price as all the rest of the valley. And our summer day camp fees will be the same price as the rest of the valley. We're not going to premium up because we're down here. It just seems wrong. And we're a nonprofit, so it fits within our philosophy of serving all. Yes?
The valley closed
Oh, sure. We're finally coming out of that from COVID. I mean, COVID was terrible. We had limited pool hours. And I'll throw this in for everybody. Fun fact, a lot of the municipalities hire the Y to run their pools. And because we have indoor pools all year long, and we train lifeguards. Like, we grow the lifeguards ourselves. So, when we have, you can only be I don't know how anyone else does it. For the Y, you can only have lifeguards working so long. If you've ever been a lifeguard or ever seen a lifeguard and you're in a pool area, after about 3 or 4 hours, you just start nodding off. It is the most boring job normally in the world. You're doing this the whole time, you're up walking around, but still. So, it's nice from the Y's point of view because we can have the kids out at a municipal pool that we've been hired to help run. They get off that shift, they're off for 2 hours, go home, take a nap, come back to the YMCA and then work on the inside so you're not getting burnt all day. So there's a lot of opportunity for the YMCA to serve the public just outside the box, which is the Y. So we've probably, I would say not just Y's in the Valley, but YMCA's in general have probably recovered from that faster than community pools. And I think, while I'm on that, I'll just rant a little bit. I think YMCA's and JCCs and some other entities like that, if you look forward 50 years in your crystal ball, we'll probably be the only ones still standing with pools because more and more communities are shutting them down because of the depreciation costs, not the operating costs. It's a killer. Owning a pool is like owning a boat. Just start putting the money, just shovel money in there. And eventually, some communities do it. Like Nazareth, where I live, has a pool. It's great. They fund it somehow, but there's a lot more like Canardville that wind up having to close them down. So I feel, and the Ys generally feel in the United States, that we want to have a pool at the YMCA, not only for people that are trying to get healthy, people with hip and knee and joint problems, senior exercise class and everything else, but we feel that we'll probably be one of the last ones standing in about 50 years with pools. I hate to say it, but the community needs a pool, and so the Ys are building them in our community centers. Yes?
Can you just talk about the Silver Sneakers program? I know so many names, but if you talk about that as well.
Yeah, there's several of those. Silver Sneakers, for those that aren't aware, is a program that some of the insurance carriers have for people that carry, let's make one up, Blue Cross or something. And the insurance company will pay for seniors to come in and use the Y, and they don't have to pay anything. So what we've seen is, we've seen this trend with the YMCA over the last 10 years, where more and more insurance companies are paying as a benefit for the people that are of a certain age and have their coverage, they get to use the Y for free. And we're seeing that over time, those numbers go up and up and up and up and up. So what's happened is the insurance industry has figured out that the ounce of prevention is actually a lot cheaper than 10 years from now paying for that major heart surgery for somebody, right? Makes sense. Like, we've always known it. It was grandma told us, but now the insurance companies are figuring it out. So what we see at the YMCA is not only that, but now companies, it was big in the 80s where companies were doing a lot of corporate fitness and it kind of died out, and now that's coming back huge too because they're realizing also, finally, what the insurance companies are doing. So again, look in your crystal ball, what could happen here in about 50 years or 40 years, it's a long time away, but I wouldn't be surprised if just about everybody in the YMCA that's of a certain age is not paying for a Y membership at all. It's all subsidized by insurance. We're all paying for it, but they're not directly paying for it. Yes?
How does someone find out if their insurance would cover that?
You'd have to go, you could call your insurance provider and ask, yeah. Generally speaking, it's for seniors that are, I would say, 65 and older.
Just asking for my mom.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, well, I don't know why you're asking this. I hate to tell you this, but you're too young.
She just had hip surgery, so
Yeah.
asking about that.
Yes, sir.
It's covered by Medicare.
Medicare too, that's right. And the Y is getting approached by companies like HBP, it's a company called Health Partners Plus, who does Medicare. And they'll actually do, they're paid by the insurance companies to actually find seniors and get them into the Y and everywhere else. So, and it's not, and I mean, full disclosure, it's not just the Y program. You can go to these other gyms or other places, but the YMCA certainly is the top one in the nation for seniors come in. And we do more than just help people get healthy physically. We're doing the potlucks. I mean, one of my favorite stories to share is when I worked Y up north, and we built a Y, and we wound up having the largest silver sneakers group in all of Pennsylvania. We had over 400 people in our silver sneakers. And there was cliques within the cliques within the cliques. Right? And I came in one day, I was visiting that branch, and where are all the seniors? Like, this is a Tuesday morning, where is everybody? Oh, you didn't hear? What happened? They all took a cruise. They all decided they wanted to take a cruise, and they all took a cruise. And I was like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. You haven't heard anything yet. They all put in $10 each, and they took the silver sneakers instructors with them, so they could have the classes on the boat. It was hilarious. So, but even now, I mean, you know, we have senior groups at all these YMCA's. I mean, Easton Y has one of the most vibrant ones I've ever seen. Every week they get together with a potluck. I mean, everybody's not going every week, but they have a fantastic time as a group together. And it's more than just exercise, it's the social connection. And what I've been told in this part of the valley is there's a real need for something for seniors specifically to connect and get a sense of community, and the Y would be a wonderful venue for that. Wait, Sam, did you have something?
No.
Did I beat you to it? Yes.
I was just gonna add, Silver Sneakers, if you go on their website, you should be able to check if it's a benefit that you have. They have a way to search it.
Or she has. Yes. Yes.
Is there really a kitchen, like for nutrition classes or cooking classes?
Yes. All the Ys in the valley now have a commercial kitchen. Yes, this Y will have a full commercial kitchen. We build those in the Ys because we're feeding all the kids in the preschool program. It's just easier to give them nutritious meals if we're making them themselves. As well as the teens, as well as some of the seniors. So, along with that, that kitchen can be used, depending on what the community wants, for nutrition classes, baking, cooking, all different kinds of things. One of the things that's been mentioned at this Y is, ooh, you know what'd be cool? You guys got a kitchen anyway. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a little cafe? You know, and had an area where people could come in and actually get some kind of neat, cool, healthy food with that too. Yeah, that'd be cool. You know? And then you've got that gathering space that people like. And if I'm taking a class and there's 4 of us, we can go over to the cafe and grab a salad or something else and sit there and chit chat, you know, at our leisure. So yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities, but we are definitely planning a commercial kitchen, which in the big scheme of things is only about 80 grand, which is a lot of money, but not when you consider the whole thing's 20 million.
Follow-up question. I was just thinking now, LTRIC always has interesting adult classes, non-credit classes, but it's too darn far to go to Schnitzville.
But I couldn't hear the last part.
Schnitzville, it's too far to go to Schnitzville.
Yeah, that's right.
Go to those classes.
Yeah.
So would there be a chance to partner with, like, the community college?
Sure.
To do
Yeah.
something like that down here?
Yep. Yeah, the Y will have at least 1, if not 2, very generic community rooms. So we've had, otherwise I've worked, we've had classes, we've had Weight Watchers, I mean, you name it, we've had Boy Scout troops, I mean, you name it, they use that room. And we leave it at kind of a big box, and we have the closet with the chairs and tables, and people can take out what they want. It's got a little kitchenette in there. So yeah, we could use that for community college classes, sure. Yes.
Is this why I thought about, doing things like bike rentals and things like that for incorporating the rail trail?
Well, we haven't thought about bike rentals, so that's an interesting idea. What we have thought about is on the back side of the Y somewhere, if we have the room for it, to put along the back of the Y or somewhere this kind of a shed complex. You know, and what I've seen before is, you know, it's a long, skinny shed, and you open the door, and there's the bike hook, and you can put your, I mean, it's not that big, right? But you can put your bike in there and then lock it. So just like a locker in the Y, we could actually have those for people that want to use the trail to do bikes, and instead of lugging it on your car and lugging it all the way over a half hour or whatever, you could use that, you know. So, and I'm, you know, again, I'm sure the Y will, normally Ys, you get the front door, and then right to the left or right, you've got like men's and women's bathrooms. And I'm sure people on the trail will come in and use that. Again, it's a community center. It's not strictly driven all by membership, and so we would open those up for people on the trail to use, you know, and then have to clean them every half hour, but it is what it is, yeah. Yes?
So you mentioned that if you have a membership at the Y, you can visit any Y, but if you have a membership at one and then this one opens, can you transfer? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, the way that works is, you can use a Y anywhere, but, Ys are pretty, aggressive on figuring out if the Y you're using, if you're using their Y more than the other Y. So let's say somebody, I'll take Allentown and Bethlehem. Let's say somebody lives in Allentown, but they work in Bethlehem. And let's just say, for the sake of this, that they weren't the same price. That Bethlehem was $2 cheaper a month. Well, you all know we have people that would join Bethlehem even if they were using the Allentown Y a lot more and just go over to Allentown. I mean, it's just, So what happens in that situation? Let's say it's here in Bucks County, right? And Bucks is less or more or whatever. Whatever Y you're using more, the membership director, their job is to look, and they have an automatic thing through the system. They hit the button and it prints out something. And when you scan into a Y, that's all in a central database that all the Ys share. So they can see which Y you're going to. And so whichever Y you use more, that's the one you're supposed to join. That's the one the money's supposed to go to. Does that answer the question? Kind of?
Can she
No?
transfer her membership? Like, let's say
No,
she belongs
no,
to...
you would just, if you went to Bucks, if you wanted to, or if you, let's take it the other way. If you joined this Y, you didn't like it as much, and you still wanted to go down to Bucks, you would just cancel your membership here and join down there.
But what if someone has a membership already at the Upper Bucks Y?
Yeah, you would just cancel that membership.
Cancel it and then restart
And
a
then
new
come
one?
up, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say that because Bucks would get mad at me. Yes, sir.
We're not on Facebook anymore, so I'm wondering if, there are plans to expand the volunteer base or some kind of marketing campaign to get the word out to make sure this happens.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be definitely a grassroots effort. Again, there's a lot of people not on Facebook, and a lot of people don't really do the web either. We've got a website with a bunch of information on it. What we found, or you want to?
Yeah, answer this one. If you do go on the Greater Valley YMCA webpage, there's a pull-down tab for the Saucon Creek Branch project. So you can always go on there and find, we're updating it as, like, this presentation is on there right now. So if there's anybody that you know who wanted to come tonight and wasn't able to, you could direct them to our website. gd-ymca.org is the name of the website. In terms of volunteers, if there's anyone here tonight that would like to join our volunteer committee, we welcome you. If you want to see Sam Falcone, she's got the clipboard. You all signed in, so we'll keep your name and your email just in case we have any major announcements. But if you'd like to attend meetings and help us with the project, not just listen to see what's going on, but really help and connect us with people in the community and help us in any way that you can, let Sam Falcone know, and we'll make a special note of that, and we'll include you on any future meetings that we have for our volunteer committee. Okay?
And I'll add, if you get an email from us and it says, oh, hey, the next one of these is in March, this is the date, and you're like, I don't want to be a part of that list, just reply back, and you can opt out of the list. Right? So, but you'll probably get a couple emails here and there, and if you're sick of us, just let us know, we'll take you off this, and we don't take offense, it's a crazy email world. But if you'd like to know what's going on, stay on the list, Other questions? Yes?
1963 member Hamilton.
Oh, thank you. Yay.
You're saying that if I'm camping all around the United States, I can go to any Y for a shower and food if I have a membership?
I will asterisk that by almost. The YMCA did national reciprocity finally about 10 years ago. It only took us 160 years to do national reciprocity between all these Ys. That's how long it took. We're a federated organization. You can't get the group of cats to agree on anything. So there are a couple out there. The YMCA is notorious. It's our Y. No one else can come here or whatever. So there's always, in our group of federated Ys, there's always a couple that don't play by the rules. Or they say they're going to do it and don't do it. But generally speaking, 98% of YMCA's out there now, unlike 70s or 80s or 90s, let people show you a card, you're good, no fee. All these Ys had different fees. Even when I was coming up to the Ys in the 90s, we all, if you're from a different Y, instead of it being the $10 guest fee, it's $3. We finally all had a conversation. Really, out of your $10 million budget for your Y, what's that $3 really? I mean, really? And so we finally agreed generally to get rid of it. So yeah, national reciprocity. And of course, we have natural reciprocity. How do you not do reciprocity as the YMCA is in your own association? So, you know, it's one of the nice things I get to report to members that have been with us for a while. Many don't realize that we started natural reciprocity. All right. If anybody else has any more questions, come up and see us. Happy to chit chat with you. If you'd like to be involved, come up to talk to me or Jen or Sam, and we'll get you on the committee, and we'll see what you can do to help us there. But please advocate for this. We really need your help to advocate. You know how many people live in the community? You've seen how many people here. Last time we had a little bit more. We had maybe 50 people, but we really need people to spread the word. And I appreciate the press being here today to help us do that too. So thank you all so much for coming tonight, and best wishes, and good luck to all of us in establishing this Y. Thank you.